Today's lesson is chapter 5, lesson 7, Scatterplots and equations of lines. Or scatterplots and trend lines.
Is this the last lesson?
Sorry?
Is this the last lesson in chapter 5?
This is still chapter 5, yes.
Is this the last one?
Mm-hmm.
Verify that shape.
Okay, I want to show you a table. Yes?
Oh. Sorry, I thought
Right. I'm trying to move that page.
Are you using the new textbook for the 6th graders?
Yes. Okay. Look at that table over there. Calories and fat in selected fast food meals. You don't even know what the fast food meals are, but on the top, which would correspond to the x-axis, you have 6 grams of fat, 7 grams of fat, and so on. And right underneath that, you would see the calories, the number of calories that correspond to each of those values of fat. Okay? Now, how do you, just by looking at this table, can you tell me what kind of representation you would have on a coordinate plane? Will this be a straight line? Will this be anything similar to that, Michael?
Scatterplot.
It's a scatter plot. Why? Because you would see for 6, it's 276, and then for 10, it's 220. Okay? What is it? I mean, it's not, there's no linear correspondence here, right? If this increases, then this also should increase, but it doesn't. But there's a trend that seems to happen here. But I think once you plot these points on a graph, you would see that trend become more obvious. So let's go and plot this. Sorry? Oh, you want to try the full screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Okay. So what I've done is I've taken each of those points and I've plotted them here. Okay, the first one is 6, and it was what, 260? Okay, and 276. And then for 10, it became less, it was 220. And again, I'm trying to approximate here because the scale is pretty narrow, right? It's very large for the y-axis. I'm trying to fit 100 values between here and here. Okay? So, now that I have these points, I want to create a trend line. Now, what does a trend line do? What is the purpose of a trend line?
Doesn't it show if it's positive correlation or negative correlation?
1, yes. Okay. Very good. What else? Yep.
It gives you like an estimate of about where the points would be on a line.
Okay. It gives an estimate of where the points would be on a line. Now, can I have a trend line going this way?
No.
Why not? It has a positive correlation.
It has to be.
Right, you want all the points clustered around the trend line. Okay?
Because it's showing like about where like.
Exactly. It's like trying to map or make a highway through a bunch of towns.
Yeah.
Right? And if you can have a highway going this way, and most of the towns are going to be here, is it really going to serve the purpose? Not much. But if you have a trend line or a highway going through, you can make it go through every single town. But if you find a path that would be equidistant from, or close to being equidistant to all the points, then it would work. Okay, so I'm going to erase this. Okay, now how do I get the...
See if you can get like the toolbar. Yeah, they're not.
So I don't use that very often, so... You see that trend line? All right. Now, is it exactly where it should be? We don't know. Okay? One of the things that we're going to learn is to draw a trend line or come up with a trend line that's the best trend line that you can possibly come up with. Okay? It's called the line of best fit.
That's a good title.
Okay? Now, if you look here, there are 2 points to the left of the line. You see that?
Yeah.
You have 2 points to the left of the line, and you have about 3 points to the right, and 1 point almost on the line. Okay? Now, is it possible to find the slope of this line? Yes?
Maybe the
Now, you need points on the line, right?
No, it's not possible.
It's not possible?
Maybe an average about. No, because.
What do you need to find the slope of a line?
2 points.
2 points on the line. Now, none of the points that we plotted already might be on the line, but can I find 2 points on the line? Yeah? So I'm going to look at a point that's on the grid. Right? Do you see that point? 3,600.
Yeah.
It's on the grid. And I'm going to, there's another point over there. And 100, 300.
So you can find the slope based off 2 points on the line.
On the line of best fit. Okay? Let me double up the page. Okay. So I have my 2 points. 10 and 300, 30 and 600. We'll label them x1, y1, x2, y2. And the slope is going to be delta y over delta x. So you have 600 minus 300 over 30 minus 10, which will give you a slope of 15 over 1. So what is the change that's happening here? For every 1 gram of fat, there is a 15 calorie increase. Okay, it's just the trend. It may not apply to every single fast food, but that's the trend.
Wait.
So
Yeah.
like
How do you find the 2 points? Do you just
I just picked 2 points that are easy to read
on
the-
the?
on the trend line.
It's like how we. But what if your trend line's not the line of best fit?
Okay, so what I want to do is, her question is, and I can repeat that question. You want to repeat your question?
Sure. What if the line? What if your trend line is not the is not the line of best fits? How do you find 2 points on the
Okay, so when I draw the line, when I come up with my trend line, I'm also looking at 2 things. One, I want the line to have points equally distributed on both sides of the line. Okay? I also want to see if I can have at least 2 points that are on the grid. Does it make sense? So you have to make a slight adjustment with the trend line so that you have 2 points on the line. Why do you think I drew this line? Not only because it had equal distribution of points on both sides, I also made sure that I had 2 points that I can easily read on the grid. Lucy?
Why didn't you just do rise over line? Because if it's already on the graph, like with kind of.
That's a great point. I could have done that. So you can say the rise is 1, 2, 3, 300. Run is 10, 20, 30, 40. And no, it's 10, right? So 10, 20. So it's going to be 300 over 20. You could have done that too. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
But is there like a specific way to get, because you say there is a line of best fit, like the best line. Is there a way to find that specifically without guessing?
Okay. Thankfully, we have graphing calculators that would help us come up with the line of best fit.
What do they?
Okay. So what you do is we're going to talk about that a little later. You plug in the points for x and y, and you give the calculator certain commands, and at the end of it, it creates a line. It tells you what the slope of the line is going to be, and it'll give you the line of best fit. Right? You can't get any better than that. Okay? It may not be the perfect line, but that's the best line you can come up with. Yes, Jimmy.
I was just gonna answer it.
Go ahead.
The way my teacher told us is when you plot the points, you take the ruler and then you draw on each side of it around the points, so that you have like where it should be, and then you take the ruler again and you draw in the middle
But
around where it should be.
what if there's, oh sorry,
And then you erase the line.
but what if there's like a gigantic outlier?
Then you have to
Oh,
make it
yeah.
fit to the outline.
Yeah, but then it might be.
Now, what do you do
If there's an outlier, there's nothing you can do about it. Okay? If there's going to be one food that has a very high fat content and very low calorie count, there's nothing you can do about it.
So you win
Okay? That is completely out of the norm, and you cannot base your entire prediction based on that one food, which is certainly an outlier. Or it might be low fat, high calorie for whatever reason. And
What if you have no correlation? Then you just like not tell.
okay, so let's see what happens when we plug those kind of values in the graphing calculator. All right? Okay, let's move on. Now that I have the slope of the line, the second step is to find. Let me pin this page. Does anyone remember how to pin this page?
How to what?
How to pin a page.
So I don't
I
understand.
didn't know you were the term pin.
Zoom.
Like when you change the page.
Oh, pin page, yeah.
How is pin page in Zoom?
Okay. Alright, so step 2 is to find the equation of the line using either the point slope form or the slope intercept form, and using y equals mx plus b. You're going to take, do you need both points or is 1 point sufficient? 1 point sufficient. In this case, I'm using 10 comma 300. I know the slope of the line, which is 15. Plug in, and you have b equals 150. And then you put everything together, and your line, the equation of the line is y equals 15x plus 150. How are you doing?
Good.
Good? Okay. Now you can also use the point slope form, and I'm using the other point here just to change things up a little bit, and you simplify, you still get the same equation. What is it? Tell me. Now,
Tell you to. Huh?
now what is the advantage of the point slope form over the slope intercept form? There's one advantage. Okay, look at that and look at this. Jimmy?
With the slope intercept form, you have to write b equals the y-intercept, and whereas with the point slope form, you just have to write the equation.
Exactly. See, it's a two-step process here. First, you find the slope, and then you have your equation. Whereas with the point slope form,
It's just like you just get it.
exactly, right? Because you don't need to worry about the y-intercept. Okay, step 3. Estimate the number of calories that corresponds to 14 grams of fat.
So we would plug it in to the equation we just.
Okay, let's see if we can get the information from the graph, and then we can use the computation.
Well, it's
So 14 is somewhere here, correct?
Will it be? And there is a point on 10.
14 is somewhere around there.
So it's between 300.
And my equation, where's my trend line? Over there. And, pardon me, George? Between 300 and 400?
You can see because there's a point
All right.
on 10.
350, 360? Yeah? Is that a fair estimate? Okay. 360. Hello. You're welcome. So I take my equation, the equation of the line of best fit. I'm going to plug in the value for x, which is 14 grams. And then that will give me the value of y, which is, wow, pretty close. You're right on the money. 360 calories.
the slope from the previous problem.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes. Right? So find the slope. Use either the slope intercept form or the point slope form to write the equation. And then if you're asked to estimate, then plug in and find the value. And I would also look at the graph to make sure that my how I read the graph corresponds to the value that I get after the computation. Okay. Okay, so the trend line that shows the relationship between two sets of data is called the line of best fit. So the graphing calculator, thankfully, computes the equation of the line of best fit. It also gives you a value called the correlation coefficient, which is denoted by the symbol R. And that's a very important value because that tells you how close the line of best fit is to the ideal line of best fit. Do you understand? Okay. Now, it uses a method called linear regression, and you will become familiar with all these terms, So you have a number line here. If the data set gives you a negative correlation, you want the correlation coefficient value to be close to -1. If it is a positive correlation, then your R value, the correlation coefficient value, will be close to +1. So where do you want your values to be? Where do you want your values of R to be? Close to -1 or close to +1. Now, what if your value is close to 0?
No correlation. There's no correlation.
It could be no correlation, or it could also mean that your line is not where it's supposed to be.
So that's like the way that you can track.
Yes. Okay? So the nearer the value of R is to -1 or +1, the more closely the data clustered around the line of best fit. Does it make sense? Okay. Yes, you may. Michael.
Father,